Bali becomes pioneer of Prabowo's food program. 11,985 hectares lost in 10 years. Wow. And commotion at Ngurah Airport arrival terminal. Management invites 4 partners to discuss incident. Wow, that was a mess and it went viral. Stay tuned for details on these and other stories. Welcome to the latest news from Bali in Indonesia. This is November 1st. Wow, November already, 2024, and my name is Bruce, and selamat pagi. What is the weather like today? Still really hot and bluing, 32.1 right now, and the humidity is 70%, and the wind speed is 8.4 kilometers per hour. And it is really cloudy today. Yesterday looked like it was going to rain. I heard it was raining and a lot of wind down in the south, and weather warnings around the country as we transition from the dry season into the wet season, and fallen trees. And a story I'm not going to talk about, a tree falling down and hit an unfortunate motorbike rider. So if you're out and it is really windy and you're in a place with a lot of trees, you got to be careful. So a lot of stuff as usual, and thank you for the comments saying that you like the short format better, because I'm going to try to keep with that and do things, well, almost every day, if not every day. And so let's get into it. Bali becomes pioneer of Prabowo's food program. 11,985 hectares lost in 10 years. Agricultural land in Bali has experienced major changes in function over the past 10 years. The total area of agricultural land lost reached 11,985 hectares. Most of it was turned into, what do you think, tourist accommodations. That's the reduction from 2023. Well, the reduction is 3,895 hectares. If we take the last 10 years, then it's 11,985, according to the head of Bali Province Agriculture and Food Security Service, Wayan Sunada. That's the reduction. We went from agricultural land with technical irrigation to villas, to hotels, to restaurants, to housing. That's really high, he said. President Prabowo invited his cabinet to realize food and energy self-sufficiency in the 2024 to 2029 period. In the first plenary cabinet session some time ago, Prabowo emphasized the importance of Indonesia's independence in facing the current global geopolitical uncertainty. Food and energy self-sufficiency is one of Prabowo's 17 priority programs in the Asta Cita vision. In his presidential inauguration speech, Prabowo was optimistic that Indonesia would achieve food self-sufficiency in the next 4 to 5 years and could even become the world's food farm. I am sure we can make this happen and no longer depend on food supplies from other countries. In times of crisis, no country is willing to sell their food to us, he said. Pak Sunadi said that Bali once experienced a huge agricultural surplus, but due to the rampant conversion of land, Bali's surplus has been decreasing. And rampant conversion of land. Whatever happened to the moratorium on building hotels and villas? Remember, it was going to be talked about and a plan was going to be given by October. And guess what? We're in November, and so where is it? A lot of talk about building the airport in North Bali, but haven't heard anybody talk about the actual moratorium anymore. So maybe that's going to come soon. With the erosion of agricultural and plantation land, he said, it clearly has an impact on food availability in Bali. There is still a surplus if we count in the last year, but in certain months there is still a food deficit. In certain months we don't count like that, and we count in December. If we count cumulatively, it is still our surplus. But month to month, not necessarily. Sunada said for the availability of food in Bali, his party has established RP2B, namely Sustainable Agricultural Land, whose scope is in the agricultural sector in the district. Currently, the amount of active agricultural land in Bali is around 68,059 hectares. Yes, in Tabanan, the agricultural land that is still active, considering that Tabanan is still the rice barn of Bali province, the rice fields are also the highest in Tabanan, he explained. The Bali provincial government is preparing land for the food self-sufficiency program initiated by the central government. Despite being surrounded by conversions, Sunada is confident that Bali can achieve food self-sufficiency. For food self-sufficiency, we have explored our lands that will be ready for us to plant rice, especially in strategic food, He said at the launch of the Food Rescue Pilot Program to strengthen food and nutrition security in Bali province. He said that he had planted in rain-fed rice fields. Usually this land is planted with rice once a year. This year, efforts have been made to make it twice a year by providing pumping assistance. If rain-fed land relies on rainwater alone, if there's no rain, we'll not be able to plant rice. That's why we provide pumping assistance. The water in the river, we draw that to irrigate the rice fields. We also got irrigation pumps to suck up groundwater to irrigate the rice fields. That's what we've done. This year we've got 71 water pumps to anticipate so that we can be self-sufficient. He said rice productivity in Bali per hectare has increased from 6 tons to 6.2 tons per hectare. If the excess is multiplied by additional planted area of around 134,000 hectares, then that figure is the Bali rice commodity. Rice is a strategic food commodity that's needed by our people. If there are no chili plants, our people can still eat. If there's no rice, our people can't even eat chili. Chili is number 2. The first is rice, okay. And we have chili growing up here on the roof. No rice, however, and well, I guess we eat chili if we have to. Head of the Bali Health Innovation Center, PCOT, and lecturer at the Faculty of Medicine at Udayana, Pandey Putu Janyaraga, said that the Food Rescue Pilot Program to strengthen food security also includes ways to maintain food sufficiency for the community in the future. Food self-sufficiency focuses on food sufficiency for the community, not only now, but also in the future. One way to utilize food efficiently and fairly, that's what this pilot program is trying to do, utilizing food in an efficient and fair way so that there's an excess for the needy. The reason Bali was chosen for this program is because it has adequate social and industrial infrastructure to save surplus food. Apart from that, there are also working partners in conducting studies or research on this program. Secondly, there is the hotel and food and beverage industry that has surplus food that can be utilized. Policy infrastructure is also available through support from the National Food Agency and also the Bali Provincial Agriculture and Food Security Service. Pandey said the data on the exact amount of food waste produced in Bali was not yet available. When viewed nationally, food waste in Bali ranks as the largest, with a proportion reaching 40%. I think Bali and its tourism industry have proportions that are not much different, he said. Head of the Bali Province Agricultural and Food Security Service, Wayan Sanada, said that until now he saw that people were still wasteful with food, and a lot of food is wasted, starting from the production level, distribution level, to the dining table, to the loss of food is very high. If there is no figures for food waste, we will conduct research, always research. The research will conduct research on how many figures come out for food waste alone, starting from the upstream level of dry harvested grain to dried milled grain, amounting to 4.9%. Meanwhile, the loss rate for becoming rice is 2.9%. If you look at people now, they take so much food, but they don't eat all of it. The process to get one bowl of rice and one plate of rice is quite a long process, he said. How do we anticipate this now so that we are not too wasteful, considering that we still lack food for our people out there? Denpasar City, with minimal agricultural land, is making efforts to reduce land conversion. Head of Denpasar City Agricultural Service, Anak Agung Bayu Brahmasta, said that Denpasar has designated 1,000 hectares of permanent agricultural land whose designation cannot be changed. This policy has been stated in the regional regulation in Denpasar City so that it will be forever agricultural land. Hooray. In 2023, the remaining area of agricultural land, 1,680 hectares. Various efforts have been made to maintain the existence of the remaining land that has not been designated as permanent agricultural land. These efforts are primarily to increase farmers' income. As I've said before, great idea. The first way is to reduce farmers' production costs so that their income can compete with other sectors. We are diversifying our business for this agriculture. In addition to rice, there are also other plants, horticultural plants. In addition, we also provide various assistance from tractors to fertilizers, thus reducing production cost. Usually, the price of horticultural and agricultural products, such as chili and onions, increases at the end of the year during holidays so that the planting time can be determined by the farmers. There are also farm roads with the aim of facilitating the transportation of agricultural products. Not only that, agricultural land also gets a tax exemption policy and this has been stated in the regional regulation. Farmers also receive BPJS health and employment insurance, the premiums of which are paid by the Denpasar city government. So that later, if someone dies or has an accident, everything will be covered immediately. Regarding the marketing of agricultural products, he said that there are no obstacles to that. The middleman will immediately look for farmers who already have production. Meanwhile, since 2020, agricultural land in Denpasar city has shrunk by around 278 hectares. So, Bali's taking part in Prabowo's plan to become self-sufficient in food, Indonesia. And the conversion, of course, of agricultural land into hotels, villas, swimming pools, and restaurants and other things related to tourism. Well, supposedly that's going to stop, but haven't seen exactly how long and when. Okay, what about this viral videos that are going around about the commotion at the airport the other day? Commotion at Ngurah Airport Arrival Terminal. Management invites 4 partners to discuss incident. A commotion occurred between taxi drivers and airport security officers at the International Arrivals Terminal. A number of taxi drivers, of course, pushed their way past the pickup line. Reportedly, a commotion occurred between legal taxi drivers and illegal drivers. Then officers came to break it up, but it turned out to be even more crowded, and for this, the management apologized. You can see all this scuffling going on and people screaming at each other, and tourists there watching all of this. I'd worry less about doing PR overseas and more about taking care of the problems here. These problems at the airport with taxi drivers and other transportation drivers has been going on, well, probably as long as I've been here. I know it got really, really irritating about 25 years ago, with people following you. And I used to just wave my keys at guys and they would still follow me. I don't know why. Transport. And so, what else? Regarding the video related to the regulation of pickups in the arrival area that was spread out, first of all, we apologize if the incident disturbed the comfort of service users, according to the general manager of the airport. He said the commotion started from the fairly crowded pickup area at the International Arrivals Terminal. This was on Sunday. Airport security officers then tried to direct people picking up passengers not to go too far in the path taken by passengers who had just arrived. In other words, don't get in their face. However, because the situation was quite crowded and there were indications of land transportation other than our business partners there, meaning illegal drivers, an incident occurred as seen in the circulating video. The first step we take in the field is to mediate so that the problem can be resolved, though it does not have a longer impact on the comfort of service users. I'm guessing he means tourists. Internally, the party is conducting an investigation into the problem and will try to take corrective steps so that similar things do not happen again. Why didn't you do this 20 years ago? In addition to investigations, we also continue to evaluate passenger flow to facilitate passenger travel, especially when arriving at the airport. We ask for support from all parties. Hopefully, in the near future, there will be improvement steps that can be implemented immediately. We express our gratitude for all suggestions and input for improving services in the future. To resolve the problem, the management of the airport held a meeting with land transportation business partners on Monday. The meeting was led by the head of the airport and attended by 4 land transportation business partner companies. The management of the airport heard input from their business partners. The general manager said that his party plans to create a special counter for land transportation business partners located near the information counter at the International Arrivals Terminal. All parties understand the situation and are committed to jointly advancing Bali tourism in a better direction and making a positive impression on tourists, he said. And here is another problem popping up. Got nothing to do with bad tourists in this case. I drove a taxi for a couple of years when I lived in Chicago. When I went to pick passengers up at the airport, we had a nice orderly system. You got the same thing in Bangkok. You have the same thing in Singapore. I don't know why Bali can't do this. Because the government is always saying Bali can be better than Bangkok. Bali can be better than Singapore. Why can't they fix things at the airport? First impressions for tourists when they get out is a commotion and people hassling them for rides. Not good. Okay, and what about the president? The president has a new Instagram account for presidential activities. Now, Pak Prabowo has his own personal Instagram account, but this is a presidential account. So President Prabowo Subianto has a new Instagram account that is managed by the newly established Presidential Communications Office. The account, at President Republic Indonesia, has attracted 698,000 followers by Wednesday and already has the blue Instagram verification badge. But the account is not yet fully running. Presidential Communication Office head Hassan Nasbi told Compass on Tuesday. It's not yet active. The account will display Prabowo's activities as president. We are preparing it to be the official account of the presidential institution and not his personal account. Its first and only post so far was Prabowo taking the oath of office on October 20th. Pak Prabowo has his Instagram account, which is at Prabowo, that was started in 2015 with 13.8 million followers. He uses this account to share his activities after his inauguration as president and from his time as defense minister to the campaign trail and from his personal life. So if you want to follow the president, the official one, you can do that on Instagram. And if you want to follow his personal account and see what he does in life, and well, I just did a follower on that, see what he's up to now that we have a new president for the next 5 years. One more story. I talked the other day about a new airline from Korea coming in here. That was Jeju Air. And now there is another one coming in. Bali, South Korea. Connectivity increases. Air Busan opens Busan-Bali route. Direct connectivity between Bali and South Korea is increasing with the presence of Air Busan's inaugural flight from Busan to Bali, which arrived at the airport on Wednesday night. The flight is the first time for the Busan-based airline to operate in Indonesia. The general manager of the airport stated that the addition of this route is a significant step in strengthening relations between the two countries. We congratulate Air Busan on its inaugural flight to Bali. With the addition of direct routes to Busan, Bali is strengthening its appeal to tourists from South Korea and opening up opportunities for development of the aviation and tourism sectors. Air Busan's inaugural flight was using an Airbus 321 aircraft and arrived at 23:45, carrying 212 passengers. The aircraft was greeted with a water salute ceremony and flower garlands for the passengers. The return flight to the international airport in Busan is scheduled at 1 o'clock in the morning. Flight frequency 4 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. The general manager revealed that South Korean tourists are among the top 5 of the most foreign visitors to Bali, with the number of arrivals continuing to increase. Air Busan, based in South Korea's second largest metropolitan city after Seoul, will fly from the international airport, which can handle up to 10 million passengers per year. The presence of this flight is also expected to make it easier for tourists from Busan, which has a population of 3.3 million people, to explore the beauty of Bali. And that is it for today. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Stay safe, and I will see you next time.